It's time now for business, and I'm joined by Anka Ula. We're starting with French airlines concerned about unfair competition. Tell us more.
Yes, that's right, Julia. So they claim that 16,000 of their jobs are at risk due to excessive taxation and foreign competition. And with just over 1 week to go until the first round of the presidential election, they're making sure that candidates hear their pleas. Alexander Alcott has more.
A mayday call from French airline companies. They're asking the presidential candidates for propositions that would enable them to better compete with low-cost airlines from overseas. Commercial carriers want their charges to be slashed and have warned that if things continue as they are, then some 16,000 employees could lose their jobs over the next 5 years.
We are already unable to compete fairly against European companies, let alone the likes of Norway or the Gulf states, and this is totally unacceptable.
According to the airlines, the state bears some of the responsibility for their difficulties. Through airport taxes, security charges and other costs, French flight companies ended up paying 4.6 billion euros in 2016. And they have been quickly losing ground to their competitors. In the year 2000, French airlines enjoyed a 60% share of flights booked in France, but by 2015 that number had already shrunk to 43%. Some of the problems have come entirely from the airlines themselves, however. Air France, for example, has struggled to cut costs due to disagreements between the management and employees that have drastically hampered their ability to compete in the skies.
And Anka, how are the markets closing out this week?
Well, they started the week out with a lot of uncertainty, and they're ending it with even more uncertainty. So Asian markets are closing out the week red across the board, as investors fear tensions in the Korean peninsula. The yen gained ground following a decline earlier in the trading session and was heading towards its biggest weekly gain in a month. A reminder that Hong Kong markets are closed today. European and US markets are also closed for Good Friday.
And staying in Asia, where China reported a bright economic outlook this week.
That's right. So Chinese exports saw the biggest jump in 2 years in March, climbing 16% from the year earlier. That's according to new figures that were released on Thursday. The bump signals a growing global demand amid softened rhetoric towards China from US President Donald Trump. It's a sign that the world's second largest economy could recover from a slowdown it saw last quarter, when it grew at the slowest pace in 2 centuries. Let's listen to a Chinese economist about what we're expecting moving forward.
China can be expected to import more from US to reduce the trade surplus. So overall, we have decided to raise our trade forecast for this year. China is a big part of the Asia. And if China's growth remains resilient or better than expected, it could be a great help to the rest of Asia.
It's time now to take a look at some other business news making headlines around the world. The CEO and board of directors of Switzerland's second biggest bank, Credit Suisse, have decided to cut their own bonuses by 40% before an annual shareholders meeting. The move comes amid pressure from shareholders and from Swiss lawmakers to address excessive executive pay. Automaker Tesla has closed out a big week with an announcement that it would roll out a new electric semi-truck in September. The company's stocks jumped nearly 3% on the news. Earlier this week, Tesla briefly became the largest US car maker by market cap, beating out General Motors. And European plane manufacturer ATR signed a $536 million deal on Thursday to sell at least 20 twin-propeller aircraft to Iran Air. The French-Italian company is the third Western aviation firm to do business with Iran after sanctions were lifted through a nuclear deal with world powers. Iran already has deals with Boeing and Airbus. The CEO of Iran Air said that ATR will deliver 9 aircraft this year and the rest in 2018.
And finally from you, Anka, one British family has found an interesting way to fight the UK's housing slump. Tell us more.
That's right. So this gorgeous 6-bedroom manor in Lancashire has been on the market for 5 long years, but no one is biting. So the owners have decided that instead of giving the house back to the bank, it would try something a little different. They're selling raffle tickets to pay off the house, which means that one lucky winner will get to call this manor home for the low price of just £2. They're only halfway to their fundraising goal, so there's still a chance to win. It's got a ballroom and a private cinema.
My gosh, I have to get on that straight away then. Great.